Good morning. Got another live stream for today. Let's chat. For anyone interested in chatting it up, jumping in comments, etc. Let me just make sure these are here. Don't know how often they get shared. You didn't know who was home. Why didn't you know I was home?
I guess I just forgot when I went to Mama's house.
Ah, I see. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Who's ever there? Got a few viewers. All right. Maybe I can add some music to this thing. I wonder what these samples are. Let's rock. All right. What's night driving? All right. It's feeding the ducks. Apparently, this is what feeding the ducks sounds like. What's this? No, thank you. I'll probably, excuse me, hang out for another 10 minutes or so and then get to work on some other things that I might need to focus on. Got a bunch of homework I got to do for seminary. Some of that stuff I can do while I'm sitting here. Some of it I need a little more focused time. Hey, good morning, Chad. How are you? Voice is a little groggy today. Thanks, Hank. Hank just tweeted at me that he loves silent movies. Well, I'm not going to just randomly talk if I have nobody to talk to. I mean, I guess I could, but not quite my thing. I'm curious what kind of towel you're using on that shower, Chad. A lot of people are doing different variations on subway tile these days. Is it something like that? Is it higher end, or is it basic tile? What's in Wisconsin? Thanks, Grim. Yes, I'm not very good with descriptions. I'm not a very good writer, period. Definitely one of my weak areas. Any thoughts and experiences with 12-step programs, people that you know? A few. Actually, so I've actually met or have known a lot more people that have gotten involved with these programs, 12-step programs, in the last few years. The COVID lockdowns kind of wreaked havoc. I have a buddy of mine who got involved in it, and he was somebody that was kind of already deconstructing, but the AA meetings that he's gone to, and he didn't think that he needed it, but kind of went anyway. But it's been hugely beneficial for him in ways that, in ways that he didn't predict. I don't know that I predicted it. That's been good. Graham, I'm in your time slot because I don't know what your time slot is, man. A few people told me, hey, Grim's yesterday. Grim's live streaming right now. I just didn't get that information. My bad. If you're presenting a YouTube video, you have an opportunity to mirror meta level up. I don't even know what that means. I'm happy if you could explain it to me. Please play some of your band stuff, and I'll be back. I always have that. I have a few that I put up on here. I know some people communicated they found that annoying. Here you go. This song is called Lines. It's about getting older. This is why we kind of included a bit of a like old time rag time swing-ish rhythm to it. Put a live performance on the screen. Put a live performance on the screen from YouTube. I don't know how to do that. Excuse me. The name of this group that I was part of was called Saint Dagu. I'm going to type it here so people can see how it's spelled. The letter is STDAGU. Good for sucks to be a grown up. At the time I started the band, we were all kind of growing up, or getting older, getting married, having kids, and it made being a musician so much more difficult. But I was also in a group before that, and I played other songs on here. A group called Berto Ramon. That was my first band. That was kind of like a Latin jazz meets hip hop type group. But I don't know how to play videos. I was trying to figure out how to show pictures. I was going to show pictures of former Halloween costumes yesterday, but my tech skills are relatively limited. Alright, Grim says that he'll be back. That means I'm going to keep this going a little longer. not gone when he comes. Do I know Ozomatli? Yes, not super well. Like no Ozomatli, like no of Ozomatli or no personally. I don't know personally, and not very well, but I'm familiar. Oh, let me turn the music down a bit. The music is not very loud on my computer. I just turned it down a bit more. Now, what was cool about the band is that it was like hip hop, but everything was live. Which, I mean, the Roots do that as well, and they do some fun stuff with their shows. But because we had a little bit of different musical influences, I would say, than the Roots, we did a lot of stuff that I thought was a little bit interesting. Like, again, some more rock stuff. With the other band, we included some Spanish rhythms and things like that that you don't always see in like mainstream hip hop. Let me play a different one. There's another one from the same band that has more of a rock feel, or like an indie rock feel. Oakland Rap. Oh man, hieroglyphics. I haven't heard or thought about the hieroglyphics in a very long time. Yeah, even these groups that I was with, I mean, we broke up almost 10 years ago. That was the second group. First group, 15 years ago. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like that there was a lot of cool things happening in hip hop music in the 2000s, and even in the early 2010s. And then after that, I can't tell if it's that things went downhill or that I just got old and lost touch. I know politics started to play a much bigger role in things in the 2010s, and so people kind of flock in different ways there. That'll be cool. I mean, I plan to do these every day. I was hoping for this time slot, but Grim is telling me that it's his time slot, so I'll try to work with him and figure out something that works to where I won't be stepping on his toes. But I plan to do these as regular as possible. I mean, I would really like, yesterday when I finished it up, Tayo came on and took over, and they kept going for about an hour. But the goal is just probably a place when people want to jump on. There's always a place where you can jump on, and I think slowly these will get a bit more expansive, so that people can jump on whenever it's convenient for them around their schedules. And I would imagine there's always a couple people available to watch or interested in jumping on. Here's one from a different band that I was with, Berto Ramon. Has more of a Spanish feel. I wonder if 10:30 is a better time to start these things. Central Standard Time, of course. What is your channel about? It depends on which channel you're talking. So this is streamed to the Randos United channel, which is basically just about chatting. My personal channel was kind of, I was trying to do these shows called We Are Not That Simple. Basically because I'm from the west side of Chicago, dominantly African-American neighborhood, grew up over here, mixed Latinos and African-Americans, and there's typically a general assumption about the way that we're supposed to think. And so the goal of my channel was to kind of present a diverse amount of kinds of voices, diversity of voices in the community that think different thoughts about some hot button issues. Crime on the west side. Well, not everybody on the west side thinks the same way about that specific topic. So I would try to have conversations with people to see what they think, what their experiences are, so on and so forth. Now I kind of send these there just to see if any of the people from that have kind of been checking out my videos are also interested in chatting. Oh, cool. I am slowly becoming more and more familiar with the Netherlands and the Dutch. My wife is Dutch Canadian, but a lot of her family has done their best to try to stay connected to their Dutch roots. Maybe one day I'll go visit. It does seem like Elon Musk is working on that. At least that's the impression that I get. He's actually part of the reason, him buying Twitter is part of the reason I'm on Twitter again. I actually had been on Twitter for many years, while I was a musician, I had a few hundred followers, but kind of, I don't know if I got old or whatnot, but jumped off of Twitter, deactivated my account completely. And then a couple years later, he bought it. And I was like, oh, I'm interested in getting back, but it was too late to reactivate that account. So I'm starting from scratch. I think I've got like 20 followers or something like that, which makes this tricky sometimes trying to get the word out about these Let's Chat sessions. Because when I post it on Twitter, it doesn't reach too many people. That's why I try to tag other people like Paul and Jacob who have larger followings so that people interested in this can know it's happening. I've also found that diversity of opinions is a tricky thing to manage because most people that like the idea of diversity of opinions like it so long as people don't hold strongly to those opinions. Like I'm okay with you expressing this opinion as long as you don't sincerely believe it, because if you sincerely believe it, that might exclude people. Whereas I think that I would prefer talking with people who hold their opinions strongly, and I'm okay with disagreeing like that. Well, if you do jump on Twitter, you can follow me at Pastor Moebetta. Pastor Moebetta. Very silly and immature. It goes back to my very first email address, which was mobetta62@hotmail. I don't use that email anymore. I don't even know how to get into it anymore. But I'd like to think that I've matured a little bit, but I also acknowledge that I'm not that mature. That's cool, and that's one of the weird things. I'm not actually that open-minded, if that makes sense. I'm open to hearing what other people have to say, and kind of, going back and forth and talking about it. I don't know that I'm necessarily open-minded. Like, I don't think I change my mind that often. Yeah, I don't know if that makes me closed-minded or stubborn or something. But I do have quite a few friends and close family members that think quite differently than I do, and we still enjoy each other's company. I don't know if that makes me open-minded. No, Grim, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, the only thing I could think of is looking up a video and then doing show screen, but Fuentes. Fuentes, is that Nick Fuentes? Hey, Grim, how are you?
I am fabulous. I am fabulous. You're stealing my audience though, so I thought I'd come try and steal them back.
Okay, my bad. When do you normally stream?
Between now and 11:30 is usually when I start.
Oh, okay, now on 11th. And how long do you go for?
Usually under an hour, but about
Under
an
an
hour
hour.
is the goal, yeah. It's
If
fabulous. You're on it right
if I
now.
started around
actually.
11:30, that'd probably be better.
We're doing this masterful like two ships on deck at the same time thing. We are simulcasting to my stream as we speak.
Oh, sweet.
It's
Oh, is that better, or should I pick a different time?
you're welcome to compete. We I assume we cast to different nets. We cast nets in different oceans.
Yeah,
Most
okay.
of the
Well,
time.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Who is
but
this lost cause person?
let's find out. Welcome
Yeah,
to the
I'm intrigued.
multi-stream if you can make it. I usually don't bring them up until they have their cameras on.
Oh, maybe I will remove him until his camera comes on.
And I'm trying to train them to go when they're ready to come up and not bring them up by accident.
Oh,
But
here we go. They got a
we're,
camera up now.
we're
Hey,
figuring out.
Can you
There
hear
he
me?
is. Welcome, welcome.
Can you hear me
Oh,
and stuff?
yep.
Okay, cool. Sorry, it was like taking a minute to load. I don't know why.
Welcome to the multiverse.
Yeah, welcome back, I guess. It's been a while.
Oh no, it's Bart.
Hey, Grim.
I thought you were all hit it and quit it, but look, you stayed to play.
Yeah, forgive me for everything as usual.
I just misbehaved so I can be punished, you know.
I'm probably the hardest on myself, so
There's a lot of that. Those guys with the scourges running around.
yeah. Maybe I should join them.
You have is what I'm saying, my man. I was trying to give Mo the opportunity to do a thing called Mira Meta Level Up, where like he could present me presenting him, but he hasn't figured out the StreamYard thing that far. And I gotta tell you, Mo, I'm training an army of lobster monkeys to help people like you.
Sweet.
To learn StreamYards and be able to be the interface for people who shouldn't have to learn how to do it, like the talent themselves. And that's part of the Deadwood Dandies project I have going on. We do it Thursdays if you want to join.
What time on
Pretty
Thursdays?
fabulous. 8 p.m. Central is when we
8
do
p.m.
it
Central.
together.
Yeah, I could do that. I'll jump on Thursday.
All right, I'll send you a link to the Discord and the emails, like we're
That'd be awesome.
professionals. Good luck with the rest of your show, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I was the Anomy guy in chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you talked yesterday or about having all these online names and stuff.
Yeah.
Part of that is because I have a really bad tendency to go off the handle, not in person,
Mm-hmm.
but online.
Online, yeah.
And one of these days I went to see a old boss and her husband, and they're like, "Hey, do you frequent like the Christian YouTube channel?" Because they highlighted your comment and it was not savory. And kind of ever since then, it's like trying to stave this stuff off. I grew up online,
Yeah.
and just like getting away with that, and I can't like handle it. I've spoken to like chat a little bit about this and other people, and
Mhm.
but I keep finding myself coming back because the people that I interact with like have a profound impact on my life.
Mm.
So it's kind of like I can re-engage with it better, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is tricky, right? Especially if it's like a hot button issue. Which it's one of these. I've had my difficulties with the online, but I also sometimes have a difficulty with in-person stuff too.
Yeah.
But to a certain degree, it's one of those things where, because I feel like the online culture is just a continuation of the what I like to call like Midwest passive aggressive. Like I went to Moody Bible Institute, and so one of the
Oh, wow.
ethos around like a Christian college is everybody's nice because Christians are supposed to be nice. And I would go up to people, I'm like, I know you hate me. I can see it in your eye. Just say it already. It would just frustrate me that nobody would tell me that they didn't like me. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's very
not always
annoying.
likable.
It's very
Yeah.
annoying.
The fake nice kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, I'm in the Midwest, and it's like it's super poorly hidden, like all the time. You know, you can always tell.
hmm.
That's interesting. You went to Moody Bible College. My little sister's there now. She
Oh, yeah?
really likes it. So yeah,
Yeah,
I visited.
when I went to Moody 6
Pretty-
months before graduation, I hated everything about it. And then 6
Really?
months after I graduated, I couldn't remember anything bad. Like I got senioritis real bad. But I look back on my time fondly there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot.
I'm in the Bay Area, and
How long was that?
actually, oh, you're lagging about, Lost. I don't want to interrupt you.
No,
Yeah,
you're
your
good.
connection's
I
not
see that
so
I'm
strong.
lagging. I don't know why.
Well, I'm in a
If it
pretty
drops, I
like
drop.
diverse like campus, or that's a big mantra.
Yeah.
And at this stage, maybe it's like because of post lockdowns and everything, it's like no one's really talking. So instead of fake nice, it's like everyone's kind of in their own bubble. Like especially underclassmen that I help tutor for a critical thinking course. So I have to sit in on the course, and everyone's in their phones or on their laptops, and maybe by osmosis they'll think they'll pass, and it's very strange. And like you interact with some of them, and everything's like a lot more flattened.
Yeah. The impression that I get is that everybody hates it, but doesn't know how to get out of it. I used to have this, in the late 2000s, like 2008 and 2009, I worked as a sex ed teacher. And when I was, I would go into public schools and teach a sex ed curriculum. And then I would and I was also a musician at the time. So I'd get invited to bars, clubs all the time. And then people ask, what do you do for a living? I was like, well, full-time, I'm a sex ed teacher. And then all the questions would come. And, these are people, both men and women, that would pass themselves off as very confident or whatever. And when it came time to sexuality, relationships, they had all these questions. They had all these, but they were terrified to ever ask about it because they didn't want to give off the impression that they didn't know.
Yeah.
But with a certain amount of alcohol and knowing that I was a sex ed teacher, they would ask me about the most private situations ever. And it was one of those things, like in the club scene, there's all these people that hate the environment there, but are so terrified to get out of it.
Yeah. My wife and I, we would go to this like dive bar, and it felt great because it was like, hey, it's all the people we know from high school, and then the generation above and generation above. And I come from like alcoholic family that was not the best. But like we went there, and Peterson talks about this too. Like you take all these young folk that don't know how to interact, and you throw them to the booze, and all of a sudden, like they're making all these really hasty decisions.
Yeah.
And what I found was strange is it didn't matter if we were a week apart or a month apart on our visits there. It was the same people there.
Yeah.
And right, it's like there's so much drama, and then like the drugs would come in and stuff, and but they were there, that was their abode.
Want to talk to people and have fun, and people want to let loose, right? Even the most uptight, that was one of the funnest things at Moody for me, was taking some of these uptight people and then getting them to where they would start making jokes. Jokes that they may have thought were inappropriate, and most of the time they weren't really inappropriate. but the people didn't know how to let loose. This is why a lot turned to alcohol or drugs. And I was with a group of friends where we would let loose all the time, without drinking. And so people were like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, I want to also be goofy and stuff without having to drink. How do I do that? And it's not easy to start. Like,
Yeah, the kids definitely that I see. Well, I call them kids. I mean, they're young adults.
hmm,
Yeah, they don't want to step out into that uncertainty. They'd rather kind of sit there and like take their low grades, and then with information technology, they could just find a way out of it. Like, oh, I could kind of like fudge a B here by asking the robot, or using these paid for services. But it's a double-edged sword. Like, the professors, sometimes they're taking shortcuts in their course material, and you can see, I mean, I could see through it. I open up the test and it's like, you copy this test from somewhere. So the effort and the lack of effort goes both ways. Like,
yeah. Well, and it was like, which one comes first, the chicken or the egg, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I see that all the time. I used to be a teacher, and I'd slack sometimes on my preparedness, and the students would too. But for me, a lot of it really depended on what was my goal, right? What am I like? What I used to teach on the West Side here. I'm teaching at a high school, and most of my teaching was high school seniors, most of which couldn't read or write very well at all, maybe at like 4th grade level. And so, well, what's my goal? Is my goal to try to get them proficient by the time they graduate as a music teacher? No. And so I had to find other goals. And so then the whole lesson prep and all that stuff, the rigorous academic stuff, well, that gets left behind because that's impossible.
Yeah, especially there. There's some parallels here with the kind of course I'm supposed to be helping with. Most of the time, no students show up, so I'm getting paid like just a little bit to be a person there.
Yeah.
Like, in case someone comes in and wants to chat about philosophy or whatever.
Yeah.
If they don't have the foundational skills, like by the time they get to the next stage, they're just lost. So you have to meet them where they're at, and
Yeah.
Sometimes they just need someone like there to listen, like,
Yeah.
just to be present and to serve them in that way. But I can only imagine. I have some aspirations to teach, but I've been kind of counseled that maybe that wouldn't be the best decision. I mean, I feel like you're going to concede the ground. Like, if people are worried about it being a battleground of, where people are going off to ruin their lives or whatever. But it seems like a admission to defeat. You're just going to say, well, then you don't have people passionate about it or competent about it wanting to step into it,
Yeah, well, I think the battleground metaphor is a really good one, because, for example, you're going up against an army that has a lot more soldiers than you do, and they're ready to lose them. Well, then the idea isn't, well, then you don't just cede, you don't just give up, but you have to re-strategize. You have to find a different way. And so if you're going into it, like, I'm going to go the same route that everybody else is going, and, well, yeah, you're probably going to fail. I mean, it's silly. But if you have a different strategy, if you're looking for the holes in the marketplace, there's a lot of potential right now in education because everybody knows the system sucks.
Yeah. I think I shared it when I hopped on once. It's like the best things that I've gotten out of this space, despite my tendency to go manic and want to consume more content than family life and everything will allow, and midterms and all that, is like just a little bit of insight into maybe how to approach conversations, because like, some of the people are just having zero conversations. They go to campus and they go out. So it's like, you find that moment, you don't want to hop over them and like intrude on their life that much, but like, at the very least, have the tools to engage with them in a way that's at least better than just floating around like a zombie there.
Yeah, and a lot of them are looking for tools. Like, I remember, I was a very shy kid, and I desperately wanted people to talk to me because I didn't know how to initiate the conversation. And every time somebody initiated a conversation with me, I'd shoot them down because I would get so nervous I didn't know what to do. And so, to a certain degree, I felt like I needed people to constantly talk to me before I was ready to go, which very few people want to do that.
Yeah, everyone's so busy too, and I mean, it sounds cliche, but I was in a community church, and the big thing before I left to go to a different tradition was bridging that gap between the intergenerational gap, right? So we had the older folks, and we talk about common things, and then we kept coming back to that being an exercise. That time was really the most valuable thing we can spend with each other, especially now. Especially face-to-face time, increasingly so. I think we're seeing that after all this, like on text, I'm one way, like I could get away with a lot, and video maybe a bit more. Right now I could say whatever, just log off and never see again. But like if I'm seeing those people every day in class, that interaction goes a long way in that first impression. And yeah.
Well, and then there's a modeling. There's a modeling of risk taking, right? Is that I may say the wrong thing, but if I keep going, what they're going to see is, yeah, that little a-hole teacher over there said the wrong thing and kept going. Maybe I can go, and if I say the wrong thing, I can keep going too. Because my wife works at a college, and she's finding that a lot of the students don't text her or even respond to text. They come in and visit her office. They come to check because they seem to want more and more face time.
That's good. That makes me hopeful.
Yeah, I've had this problem in the trades. I find this all the time. Guys, like older guys that don't use their phones or the internet, they're like, oh, well, you can just learn anything with the internet. Just look it up. This or that. That will not replace like in-person teaching me. The old saying that, it's very strange.
Your last part is kind of breaking up again.
Damn it! This I must be in like a jail cell or something. What's the
At least
point
you
of
got good
5G
work to do
if
there.
I get no connection? Yeah.
Well, I've got to hit the road anyway, but I just wanted to make this connection.
All right, cool. Pleasure to meet you, Bart.
Yeah, take care.
It is interesting what Lost Cause was saying about old people going to YouTube videos. Because I have a guy that's maybe 10 years older than me in my church that does a lot of handyman construction stuff. And I've been interested in learning. So I asked him, I was like, hey, would you be interested in showing me some of this stuff? And he told me the same thing. Go to YouTube, look up YouTube videos, and you can, they'll show you how to do it. I don't like working with other people. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to learn it then because I don't have the time to go to YouTube instructional videos all the time. But if I have somebody there teaching me, I feel like I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm learning the skill, but I'm also building that relationship. Do you have answers from East Europe? Oh, you're talking to Lost Cause. We'll see if he answers that eventually. No worries, man. It happens. I'm just glad it hasn't happened to me yet today. So I actually only have about 2 or 3 minutes left that I can be here. Because I have to go do some parent-teacher conferences for my kids. But and I will, in about 2 minutes, 11:01, I will end this broadcast unless another admin is able to come on and keep it going. Otherwise, you can probably go to Grimm's stream if he's still going. I'm sure he likes talking to people. without any of the height. It's interesting that I am Puerto Rican, but I have the height that most Puerto Ricans don't have. I'm 6'3", but my grandmother did one of those DNA things like 23andMe or whatever, and found that like there's like a 1% of Norwegian in there, which I thought was interesting. All right, I got about 30 seconds before I'm ending this broadcast. And then I will be on tomorrow at this time. I mean, at this time, like at 10. I'll be starting at 10, unless Grim tells me that he really doesn't want me to do that. Then I'll figure something out. So if you're interested in jumping in, having more conversation, I'll be here tomorrow at 10. I probably will go longer because I don't have any parent-teacher conferences. But until then, be safe, be blessed. Love y'all.